In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this button. For this project, you're going to need a button. This is a 2.5 inch button, a mason jar lid. I think this is a standard mason jar lid, which is 3 inches in diameter, fits around the button. A marker or a pen, scissors, needle and thread, and this is on my needle minder. And for this project, I'm using this pattern from the voter button patterns. It says I voted. The link to the pattern is listed below. I didn't even bother to iron it. You don't really need to. You're going to be stretching it over the button. So the first thing you do need to do though is cut the fabric to the right size to fit over the button. So I made sure that this round object, any round object will do, is the size that I want to fit over the button. So I'm going to center this over my cross stitch, and I'm going to use the Sharpie to mark it. And now I'm going to cut along this line. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just need to leave yourself enough room to grab enough fabric to fit over the edge of the button. My needle is already threaded with white floss, which is the same color as the fabric that I stitched on. And I'm going to start with a loop start, about 3 or 4 fabric squares in from the edge. And by loop start, I mean that this is one piece of embroidery floss that I folded in half and then threaded my needle so that both ends of the floss are on one side of the eye of the needle, and there's a little loop on the other side so that when I pull my needle through, I can go back through the loop and it is fully secure. So now I'm going to start weaving in and out with my needle along the edge, staying about 3, maybe 4 fabric squares away from the edge. And I'm going to do this completely around the pattern, 100%, all the way around 360 degrees. Having a little bit of the marker show on the edge of the fabric is not a big deal because that part is going to be hidden behind the button and no one will ever see it. When I come around to where I started, I'm going to overlap just a little bit. Now these particular buttons have something on the inside, so I'm going to open it up and remove that piece so it doesn't show through. And then I'm going to put the top back on. That way the pin doesn't press against the fabric once I overlay the fabric. Well, it snaps right back inside. I'm going to end with my needle on the back side of the project. Put my project face down like this, put the button over it, and make sure that the button is centered as much as possible, which is really easy with these clear ones. And then I'm just going to pull the fabric tight. I'm going to keep going around a little bit to make sure that this is nice and secure. And I continue to pull as I go, keeping it very tight. Let's see, is this centered? Yeah, that looks pretty centered. Okay, now I'm just going to tie this off. I did 3 knots here, and I'm going to do 3 knots here to ensure that the embroidery floss is nice and secure. And there's the pin, and it is at the top. And there it is, your finished I voted button. Stitch on!